Okay, so here we are. There's you. We're gonna be playing Widow and Anubis. I feel like we're back to the beginning, man. Like we've gone full circle.
Well,
This is where it all began.
yeah, because definitely, I almost dipped into silver, so it's
Okay.
just we gotta
Okay.
get those.
We gotta fix the Widow. I got it.
Yeah, we gotta fix a lot of things. I think it's because I just started kind of, I was getting bored just playing strictly Widow McCree,
Mm-hmm.
so I started messing around with Echo and Tracer and dipped and yeah.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, hopefully it comes back faster. You know, we build those habits and they should mostly stick. They should reactivate pretty easy. But let's see what we can do.
Just what they
All
needed.
right.
Okay, fine with that.
I actually can't see your screen.
That would be a very good thing to fix. So
Yeah.
why don't we share my screen? That seems like a good idea. Okay. Okay. Better?
Yep. There we go.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So you've got some options. And the way I think about this is your team going to be distracting? Your team is mildly distracting right now. Is your team going to be distracting again in the next 6 or so seconds?
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
Okay, so the answer is no. They're not going to be distracting in the next 6 or so seconds because once they get through here, they're going to have to get their way over to here and then fight, right? So, like,
Right.
that's going to take them 5, 6 seconds to get to here. Now, they'll fight a Junkrat, but the Junkrat's already in here, and that's weird to be, like him being alone in here is a little weird. And even if he isn't, the people that you want your team to distract are these people right here who have a sight line up here, right? Because this
Right.
is kind of the spot you're interested in taking. And you're thinking, hey, I, don't want to use my hook and then not have it when my team's ready, etc. But I think this is the best distraction you're going to get, your team rotating through here in the next, for the next 6 seconds. Use your grapple. Yes, the cooldown is more than 6 seconds, but that's most of the time back, etc. You're sort of in the I think this is right. If your team was going this way, you might want to wait until they get to here and turn their eyeballs a little more. Or if your team was going here, you might want to wait until your team turns eyeballs a little bit. But with your team going this way, this is kind of the best distraction you're going to get for a long enough period of time that I do think you want to take your perch here. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So like we'd almost have grapple, like we wouldn't have it back by now, but like we'd be halfway to having grapple back. We might have even been more than halfway to having grapple back. Like if we rewind that a little bit more, we can go here. Let's actually go back a little bit more. It's a 12-second cooldown. I know it's rough, etc. But our team is now a credible threat. So if we grappled up over to here, like here-ish, that would be about as far from them as we could get sightline-wise and would be a valid place that we could do work from, right? And we could do it
Yeah.
now, and if we did it right now, we would be at 55 seconds into the match. Cool. And then let's see when your team is actually in and distracting again. And I don't even want to go in yet, because even though your Reinhardt is doing stuff now, this isn't relevant yet, so I'm not even going to watch you. I'm going to wait until your team is actually a credible threat to this team. And I'm going to say about now is when your team has really baited this team's attention. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
So this is when you really want to be able to hit a grapple again, and now we're at 109. So has it been long enough for us to have a grapple back?
Yeah.
Right. So we sort of missed a poke opportunity by not taking that early grapple. We want to be aware of the, like, again, they're here. They're not a credible threat while they're back here. Then they're a credible threat when they're back here. So we had an opportunity to do some poke, to do that thing, etc. So we should have taken that.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, just do this. Job's really easy when you do this.
Yeah.
One second.
Damage amplified.
Just what I needed.
Okay. And you...
Defense point.
It's already an improvement. You're not using your ult right now.
Yeah. I was thinking about it.
Okay. And you could have used your ult now, but we used Valk. That's probably enough.
No
If you
one
wanna
can
now use
hide
it, that's
from
fine.
my
Yep.
sight.
So we do need to transition more aggressive. Well, okay. Match, we're done.
Complete.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Clearly, the
One
defense does not go as well.
Ready for battle.
No.
The one thing I would point out is, did we use our mine at all that round?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
No, we
so
didn't.
that's probably something we want to be aware of. It's not like, oh, hey, the end of the world, etc. But, you know,
Mhm.
even when you were, let me just go back here. Even when you were up here, hey, let's maybe throw a mine down here in case the tracer tries to come back type thing. Or
Yeah.
when you were pushing in here, it becomes a, hey, I've done this, etc. But, you know, depending on what the comp is, maybe you mine your foot, maybe you just throw the mine into here as splash to get your vision on them, etc. But we didn't use any mine, which, you know, not the end of the world. We got the job done. It was clean enough that I'm not going to complain. But if we don't use an ability for a whole round, we've probably done something wrong.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2.
And where's your mine right now?
It's actually over on the other doorway to the left. No, yeah, that one. Oh, I thought it was. Maybe I haven't sent it off yet.
Okay.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective
Comme c'est
A.
aimable de ta part.
Probably non-existent.
I'm almost positive it's not existent.
Yeah.
The icon actually changes a little, I believe, when it exists. But hey.
Yeah.
Dans ma ligne de mire.
Okay, this is fine. These guys effectively can't threaten you. Lucky you. Yes, they have a Genji and Tracer, but they're not in yet. So in this situation, where do you want your mine to be? Now that you know what their comp is, where would you want your mine to be? You're not going to have time to deploy at this moment, but
Mhm.
do you know where you want it?
Probably at my foot.
That's an option. I'm
Uh-huh.
actually most concerned about the Genji sneaking up on you through here. So I'd want to get like a mine right here, etc. personally. But you know what? The Tracer is probably going to try to come through this direction. So if you want a mine right here, I can live with that too. I wouldn't necessarily put it on your foot because on your foot only really matters if they like come up here and try to like straight dive you, etc. And that would be more of like almost more of like a monkey thing than a Genji thing. Like, yes, okay, it'll still get you. The Genji can do that technically, etc. But it's not. It's not. No, it's not necessarily where I'd put the mine.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like you're rushing this slightly. Let's go back.
Yeah, in my head the whole time I'm like, man, the scarf is always telling me about waiting on the perfect shot. I just gotta shoot.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's a good point. You know, I do want you to take the shots. I don't want you to like wait for them to walk into your crosshair. I do want you to take shots. I mean, you were shooting at him while he was deflecting there. These just feel a little. I mean, do I really want to get into flick mechanics here? Maybe I do.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Comme c'est aimable de ta part.
I'm gonna slow this down so you can sort of see.
Okay.
Dans ma ligne de mire. Get them off me.
You see how you sort of paused when you got to the end and then shot? Did you catch that?
Yeah, in slow-mo, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna do this again,
Dans ma ligne de
and
mire.
we're this time going to slow it down one more tick.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
it's not like a big deal, and I'm slowing it down to exaggerated, of course, but generally
Mhm.
with flicks, they are sort of I flick over, like I flick to my shot and hit it, not like I flick to get really precise and then try to aim sort of thing. Like it's like a no, I hit my final flick to the thing, and I sort of try to hit my shot, and it almost looks like, and I could be wrong here because we're getting really deep into aim mechanics here. It sort of looks like you're like, okay, I flick to where I'm sort of on the Anna, and then I'm trying to like micro adjust track her or something like that, or I'm trying to make
Mm.
sure I'm on her. Like I flick to her and let me be sure that I'm on her and then I'm firing or something. And it's like, no, it is I flick and I'm clicking at the end of my flick, or I'm clicking at the point in the flick where I think I'm over her head. You sort of get what I'm saying? It's not like, hey, let me bring
Mhm.
it to her and then let me pause and go do it. Like it you're not going to flick past her necessarily, but you almost want to think of it whereas if you were flicking past her, you'd be clicking on her head as you went by it type thing. Now, you're going to flick to her head and click on it. You're not going to flick past her head and click on the way there, but like as a timing thing, how can I describe this cleanly? As a timing thing, it is like I flick here and the instant that I've stopped, the instant that I've stopped, I'm clicking type thing. Like stopping
Right.
and clicking are
Right.
simultaneous. It's not a bring it here and then click thing. It is a simultaneous thing.
I
And
understand.
that's just how flicking mechanics work. That's easier, quite frankly.
Mhm.
Yeah, now you're gonna mind here. Okay. You have 5 shots left. You spray him for 3 shots. You grapple. You don't know where he is. You still don't know where he is. You still don't know where he is. You still don't know where he is. You think there might have been time to reload there, given that
Probably.
you had 2 shots in your clip? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All good. All good. Ah, we're bringing out the McCree. Okay. That's a fair adjustment into the Genji Tracer.
Oh, that'll do fine.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective B.
You don't like what I'm doing? The rewind scares you?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, uh-oh.
Okay. Do we need to close this angle for any reason?
Mm, not necessarily.
Right. Like we had an angle. Hey, there's a Reinhardt here. Maybe now I don't want to shoot at him that he had a bubble, but honestly, even with his bubble, I can shoot, the left side of his shield, the top left of his shield. There's plenty of place I can shoot that's not his bubble, that isn't going to give him any value, that is still giving me something, right?
Hmm.
And the Mercy's pocketing you. You might not have noticed, but the Mercy does have that blue beam on you. So like, hey, she wants you doing stuff. You're kind of this isn't just a reload. This isn't you closing the angle. You're closing the angle while you're pocketed, while you have stuff to shoot at, and with 2 shots left in your clip to go into a reload. So this reload isn't spending your time when you have 2 bullets left that could be put to use. It's spending your time and your Mercy's time when you're at, you have 2 bullets that could be put to use, etc., etc. Is it the end of the world? No, it's not. But it is the sort of thing. Obviously, she can move and find someone else. She can boost the Lucio while they spam, or she can, boost the Genji if he's around, whatever. But like, this is the sort of thing where you go, hey, take the extra uptime, take the extra shots. McCree isn't Widow. With McCree, it is, hey, fire, fire, fire. It is uptime, uptime, uptime. So like, hey, there's absolutely no threat to you here. You're behind Orion Shield. You have a Mercy boost. Keep taking your shots, even if you feel like, hey, there's nothing great to shoot at. There's something to shoot at.
Okay.
You see it. I don't even have to say
I got
anything.
you. I got you. Yeah. I was trying to be conscious of that because
Yep.
I've watched some of your other VODs with McCree. So that was normally it's like everybody's gonna have different issues than you have personally, but this was one of my issues.
Sure.
So that was something I was trying to be conscious of.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one because you don't even realize you're doing it, and it's hard because we want to be like at full power in case someone shows up to duel us. In case that Genji shows up and
Right.
duels us, I want to be at full power for that fight, etc. And it's like, no, you need to outvalue the Genji in total by having better poke phase, by getting more done, so he has to come find you.
Right.
Okay.
5-bullet reload.
Oh, 5-bullet reload followed by
A roll.
Yikes.
Heroes never die.
Nice. I'm a little surprised that we didn't get a flash there. So as we're looking at this,
Heroes never.
Bubble's out already. This is good. You reload, which is fine. You have your Valking Mercy helping you out. Great. It's scary that there's a Nano Reinhardt. I'm totally fine with you shooting at the other targets because you're going, hey, I don't want to have to deal with this Nano Reinhardt. Still fine. This seems like it should be a flash fan, though, right? Like, you still have 4 bullets left in your clip. A flash will hit him at this range. He's clearly not going to shield. This feels to me like it should be a flash fan.
Okay.
This still feels like it should be a flash fan. This definitely feels like it should be a flash roll fan, right? Because, like, hey, he's close to you, he's hurting you, etc. So I'm surprised that we didn't see a flash here. And the Genji's already off the table, so it's not like you need the flash to protect you from a potential blade at this point. The only thing left is a tracer. So I would have expected, hey, there's a Rhine on top. Well, that was late.
Yeah.
All good.
Much obliged.
Good.
My ultimate is charging.
Three ammo reload. 1 ammo reload, better. 3 ammo roll when you don't really need to yet. 4 ammo reload. I'm fine with the 1 ammo reload there. I don't think it was necessary, but we'll pretend it was to avoid the coalescence. Oh, reload into High Noon. Okay, which, does the reload for us, but hey.
Yeah, right
Whatever.
now, I'm glad I don't see you on video.
It's all good. It's
I
all
don't
good.
want to know the facial expression.
It's all good, man. I'm
The
actually
blank
not
stare.
too worried about it. It's just like, and I've actually skipped a lot of your ammo reloads, etc. I'm just like, I take breaks from pointing it out, and then I point it out again, just so that you know it's still there. It's not like some, oh, it only happened to me for this 1 minute of the match. No, it's here for most of it.
Right.
Good.
You best head for the hills. I'm on fire.
Check this out, I am on fire!
Easy.
It's fine. Good effort. Beautiful.
Double time!
A little careful there. You're shooting at a bubble that is very clearly a bubble. Like, sometimes the shot's already on the way. I get it, but you know
Now-
that. Go ahead.
Now, you could still, you have to actually shoot the bubble itself, correct? If you
Yes.
shoot like the corner, like top right corner of the
You shoot
shield or
here,
something.
you shoot here, you shoot over here,
Oh,
you shoot over
okay,
here.
right.
It's fine. Just don't shoot, this bubbled part that extends past the shield, and you're fine.
Oh, okay, all right. I thought so. Yeah,
Yep.
all right.
Thank you kindly.
This is less about the reload and more about
The roll.
Thank you kindly.
you finish the reload and then you roll type thing. So it's like
Right.
that, it's less about, hey, you reloaded with 3 when you didn't really need to be closing the angle yet, and much more about, hey, if you want to roll, you roll, at least half of the roll's value is getting you your ammo back. So like we don't want to finish a reload before we roll. We want our roll to really get us the double purpose of ammo and movement. We will settle
Right.
sometimes for ammo and sometimes we have to do it for movement, but going, hey, we're rolling just for movement that's kind of sort of okay, which is what we did here, isn't really very good. Okay. That was better. You were at 0 and you hit the roll right as you were at 0. You didn't even start your reload before you hit the roll. That was much better.
Yeah, sometimes I think about it.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm like, ah.
Let me do this because it's gonna show something. So I actually don't mind that you go, hey, I don't have the target. I'm gonna go for this, etc. I'm surprised you don't start walking up here more as you're doing it, but that's okay. Yeah, you do a little.
Double kill.
Okay, you've eliminated the Zarya and projected bubble is out, which means your flash is free if you can get a little over the Reinhardt's head. And you've got a little bit of high ground over the Reinhardt right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So surely we're going to hit a flash on this. And now he's swinging, even better. So we're going to flash this Reinhardt now, right? 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 Okay, you take the Moira. That's fine. I'm not going to complain about that. Oh, and you do go for it. Okay, so you took out the Moira, then you flashed the Reinhardt. I've got nothing to complain about. Beautiful. And then you immediately target swap. Beautiful.
Dead eyes red.
See, I'm complaining about nothing. You know exactly what you want to do.
Sometimes.
Oh.
I have to be in the low 2000s.
Okay, okay. Sure, reloads, but hey.
Those things.
It's high noon.
Did you see if like deflect was forced first? Did you know that deflect was out?
I think I listened for it.
Yeah, I heard it. I was just curious if you had. Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. I was waiting on it.
Yeah. I can live with this. I'm not like absolutely in love with it because they're not really in yet, if you follow what I'm saying. Like this is the sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, you high nooned, well, I guess we'll leave type thing, right? Like it's like, okay,
Mhm.
you effectively delay their push for the duration of your high noon, right? Whereas if you
Right.
high noon them once they're like here-ish, or once even
Mhm.
better, once they're like here-ish, it's a lot more awkward because it's like, oh shoot, well we have to go here, we have to go here, we split a little. Like you want them to sort of be partially in because then your team goes and takes angles against them and picks them apart a little bit. Here it's okay, but like another second later would be better because a lot of them are already pretty out when you pull this high noon.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. That
This
makes
is
sense.
more like this would be, like this would be a little more forgiving as a Infocyte timing, but this is a little early for the high noon.
Heroes never die.
You have flash, okay. I believe. Hey, fine by me. You did your part.
Tried. It actually took me by surprise. I rarely see him get bubbled.
That'll
Back in
change.
the saddle
They'll get
again.
bubbled
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, right.
They'll get bubbled more. They'll have defense matrices over them as they're pulling out their blade. They'll get all sorts of good stuff.
Oh, let's break it. Damn!
Just for giggles.
No more giggles, please.
Oh, look, I have 3 shots left, and there's a target on my screen to the right there. I clearly see the blue letters of their name. I can clearly shoot at them. Now I'll reload. I'm gonna reload again. That Genji has nowhere to go. The instant this reload is done, you try, yep. Okay.
I don't know.
This is kind of a where you went issue. Like, we're here.
Uh-huh.
Don't move.
Okay. I know there's a Reinhardt to your left. I can hear the Reinhardt to your left. I don't know if you can hear that, but I know there's Reinhardt to the left from the game sense, from the wall hacks that we have in spectator view, and from the noise that he's making. And because I know that there's a Reinhardt to the left, I don't want to go this way. I want to go this way because I know that this Genji that I just forced to leave isn't really going to leave. He's going to be peeking over this wall in just a second because he's Genji, and that's what Genjis do. They go, hey, I'm out. No, I'm not. I'm going to peek over the wall, etc. So I don't want to go this way. I want to go this way because it closes the angle on this.
Mm-hmm.
Closes the angle on these guys. Lets me be able to threaten this Genji that I know is unhappy with me and doesn't have cool... and is probably going to look at me because he knows I don't have flash anymore, right? If the Genji knows I
Right.
don't have flash anymore, I want to be a little more preemptively, hey, looking where he's going to show up. And if I'm here, these guys aren't looking at me. I can look at the Genji and I can go over here and shoot at the Rhine. I can go either like this or like this, and I'm not having to worry about this third threat that is main. I'm only having to worry about these two. This rotation maybe closes main on you, but takes you into the Reinhardt. So I'd have preferred a rotation over here. And unfortunately, you rotate this way, and then you see this and go, maybe I can get past him. Maybe he won't see me. Maybe if I do a barrel roll, and it's just not quite going to be enough.
Right.
I'm also a little surprised that at this range,
Don't move.
he has enough health left, and I know he has enough health left, that I would have expected this to be a fan, right?
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a fan because you can't roll to get your clip back, but I would have expected this to be a fan because I think he's close enough that you can land your entire fan on him. I think you can control this well enough to land your entire fan on him, and that's going to get your damage out faster than your regular shooting is. It's not as much damage as emptying a clip one at a time, but over time it's more damage if they're close and you can get all the shots on them. Here's our
I see.
Tracer. You're on Zarya. Now you're on Lucio. Did we get the Moira? Good. Okay. And you have half a pulse bomb, so you can use this as an excuse to stay. Okay. Don't do it. Okay, now it's okay to be going in like this. Why didn't I like you doing this earlier?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Probably because no one could help me.
It's not so much that they needed to help you, it's that they're not a credible threat to the team. When the blue team is back here, they know that they can go like this, and red team is not bothering them, and suddenly it's a 5v1. When they're
I
up
see.
here, like, and you're like, hey, I'm going to shoot the one of you that's back here, or I'm going to come up here and shoot you guys in the back. Now it's say, oh, we can't really leave quickly. We could go like this and try to fight you, but that sort of closes the angle on you, etc. They're a little more stuck in the fight. It's like, it's sort of that your team can help you, but it's sort of a, hey, these guys need to pay attention to these guys whether they're competent or not, they need to pay attention to them, and that works in your favor. Whereas when they're out here, they can just go like this, and they don't have to pay attention to them.
I see.
Okay. That was some lazy aim right there. And you have good enough aim that you shouldn't have this lazy aim. You do. I mean, I've worked with McCrees who have worse aim than you at your level, so... Okay. That's a pillar. That's still a pillar that you just said, like, here's 12 ammo into the pillar. And it's like, yeah, you know, I don't,
Yeah, I
super
understand.
mind, but it's like, okay, here we go. Totally fine. I don't mind that you missed some shots here. I don't mind that you're hitting her foot rather than her neck. I'm going to deal. There's some pillar shots there, but we'll deal. Here, at least you're trying to drag it over to her, etc. And then, but like, there's clearly not a target. Like, there's clearly not a target that you can hit here.
Heroes never die.
And again, it doesn't bother me that your tracking is loose. Like, you emptied a clip and did very little damage to her, and like, that sucks. But this bothers me a lot less than I'm shooting a wall and I can't possibly hit her. Because if we relook at this, your aim is in the vicinity. Like, I can teach you how to be better at this if we want to make this an aim drill mechanic thing. Like, you've now drifted far enough that it should be finger off the crosshair, and this should be a I drag to the left, I drag to the left to where her head is or a little bit past, like I do a flick, because you know how to do flicks. You play McCree and Widow. So you do a flick, and then you start firing again, and you try to track predictively which moving she's going. But when your aim gets a little bit too far off like this, like if it was half this distance, you just try to get back to tracking, etc. But when you get like to this distance, you sort of let go, you do a flick, and then you start trying to track her again.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So trigger discipline.
Yes.
Okay.
Allow me to repair the damage. Tell me how this.
So if we look in there, there was one more chance for you to do a flick where you got far enough off, etc., but the rest of it was fine. Okay. There, you spent a blink and a recall when, you don't want to do both of those when the recall will do it, or you blink to the side, etc., but hey.
I see.
It's getting a little messy with your tracking, but that's okay.
60 seconds
Ooh,
remaining.
ooh, ooh. Can we shoot pillars? I don't enjoy shooting pillars. Maybe
I don't
it's
think
better
this
this
one
time.
was as bad.
It's not. Okay, so we're at 22. And we only got 18. See? It was good. We then reload when our since we're on the topic, we like have our crosshair right on her shoulders, etc. And we're like, now it's time to reload, rather than spending the ammo into her for easy shots that wouldn't have finished her, but would have been a lot.
It goes so quick. I
know.
lose track of it sometimes.
It's totally fine. I'm giving you a hard time to make you better because, hey, we have some mechanical things that we can work on, but this isn't a big deal. And I will bring in our focus on things that we actually need to work on, but it looks like, weapon play is a thing that we're going to be spending some time on here.
Good.
Whatever. Oh,
I heard it.
You heard the Doomfist?
No. I heard the
Oh, yeah. No,
the
it's
sigh
it's
of
fine.
disappointment.
It's fine. Okay, he is going to be very unhappy because you're on the board. You recall because there's a Reinhardt behind you. Okay.
30 seconds.
You're going to have to blink again. Yep. No, this is going to suck, but it's okay because you're going to pulse bomb them from the side as they walk by, right? Right? Almost. Not the greatest
don't know.
blink in the world.
Yeah.
Like, we look at this and it's like, hey, I'm going to get her. And it's like, okay, well, she's looking right at you. She's looking right at you. She's looking right at you. That blink didn't really do anything. It did not put you here. It put you right here. That's just a memorizing blink distance. And remember, with our blinks, we're looking to make them move their crosshair. So a straightforward blink, unless it puts us behind them, if it puts us behind them, it's fine because we'll 180 faster than they will because we know where we're going. That's fine. But a blink forward that doesn't put us behind them is the minimum movement for their crosshair. So it's
in
like
a narrow corridor.
well,
at
yeah,
that.
yeah. But the narrow corridor is going to make your side blinks and your diagonal blinks worse because it's going to crush them. But they're still better than a straight line unless that straight line puts you behind them.
I see.
But yes, the narrow corridor does mean that there's smaller adjustments. That your blinks don't move their crosshairs as much.
Get into position.
You're here. I don't care about the wall. I mean, we could for giggles, but I don't really care about it. You're here. You have 2 blinks.
I had to get out.
I agree that you had to get out. I just don't think that you had to spend 2 blinks to dodge here, right? Like 2 blinks doesn't really dodge something better than 1 blink does, right? 2 blinks is I want to get somewhere, and I think you're thinking you want to get to the edge of the fight so you can wrap around here, but do you really need to? Is there a reason you can't just blink back to here? That you can't just blink back to here, etc., and play this edge? Like, is 2 blinks to here better than 1 blink either over to here or over to here?
I guess not.
Okay, not a big deal. But the reason that you would say that is if you're like trying to get here because you want to use this as cover, I can understand it and I can sort of accept that. But I'm thinking, hey, your ball's already over here. You sort of want their attention split. You want some of them looking at ball, some of them looking at you. So my preference would be balls on point. A blink over to here is like, hey, Reinhardt's not on top of me anymore. I can continue shooting him. In fact, let's just rewind it just a touch so that we can see it. Okay, so if we literally just go, hey, I'm going to do a sideways blink to here, we lose the Lucio and we lose the Reinhardt and no one else is looking at us, right?
True.
Yeah, so that's what you do. Again, we're getting pretty deep into our Tracer here, and we're probably not going to really get into your Tracer mechanics to this degree unless you continue playing on Tracer. I'm probably not going to say, hey, really think about your blink usage, but this is, you don't want to double blink just because you're scared. If you're double blinking, it's either part of a coordinated dive or it's because you specifically need to get behind something, etc.
Okay.
Because each blink is a dodge, and you use 2 dodges to dodge one thing, or to dodge one set of attention. Which means you now have to play on the edge of this fight for longer than you would otherwise. Okay.
Stop. Heroes never die.
Get into position.
Game's not going to let us run at full speed, eh? Give me just a second.
All right.
It's got a bit of a bug since the patch. Good. I'd expect you to turn faster because you know where you blinked relative to him, and a 90-degree turn and a 180-degree turn on Tracer should both be automatic flicks for you. Like, they should be instantaneous flicks because those are things that you just practice. You can literally in-spawn while you're waiting for the round to start, go, okay, I'm going to practice my 180s. Okay, I just did a terrible 180, but this is spectator, not real sensitivity. Right. I'm going to practice a 180. I'm going to practice a 90. I'm going to practice the 90. Because remember, your blink is going to be an almost 90-degree turn if you need to shoot at someone who is here. And if you blink behind someone, that's a 180. You should pretty much instantly be able to do those. There shouldn't be turn time.
Okay.
not your kind. I'm back.
Good. Good.
Just in time.
Did you take enough damage there to justify that? Let me take a
I
look.
just heard. I heard the heavy breathing, so I'm like, I must be really low.
Yeah, okay. Anything raw, spam, etc. can take you out, that's fine. And now you're weak again. Okay. Okay. So far, the things that we've seen, I'm just doing a quick summary to sort of keep track. We'll pare these down a little. We're not really using our mine. We're like forgetting that it exists for a long period of time on Widow. We're not setting it on flank rats when there's flankers. We've also got the, hey, there's something a little weird with your Widow, with some of your Widow flicks, where it's like, you are right to go, hey, don't wait for the perfect shot, take your shots, but there's something a little weird with that delay, like you're flicking and then like making sure and then clicking, and you don't get to do that. It's the flick, and I think this is the place, it's flick and fire are sort of one thing there. There's no flick, pause, fire type thing. We had the reloads on McCree, and we have some interesting rolls. Some of your rolls are okay, but there's a lot of those rolls where it's like, hey, you just reloaded, or hey, what's going on with this roll, etc. Really, you're just missing a lot of uptime, and we'll get those back first from reloads, and then we'll get those back from rolls. And then with Tracer, we've had some, there's the blinks, yes, but I'm really more interested in sort of the weapon discipline of once your aim drifts far enough while tracking, you want to, let go and kind of do a flick, because you know how to do flicks. You play heroes that are almost entirely based on flicks. Do a flick to get back and then go back to holding down your left click and tracking again. Okay. We're going to keep going, but that's kind of a summary of where we are right now.
I'm willing to take
Okay.
risks.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Okay. Did you really feel like you had to recall there?
In hindsight, probably not. No.
You've
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just
Panic
like,
recall.
you've got 2 blinks. I'm not too worried about you right now. Yeah, all good.
Where were we?
Going for the flank. Good. Do the damage. Make that Doom Fist life obnoxious. Again, we're going to want those faster turns after those blinks past someone.
Okay.
Get into position.
Okay. You can ship him from here just to kind of be annoying. No one's really going to punish you for that. Just be very careful. We don't want to overspend resources. Good. You're just going to poke a little again.
This will heal you.
Let's try that again.
That's...
Yeah, that was a bad. That was a really bad recall.
So, remember, recall gives you the health that you had 3 seconds ago. So, like, if you're like, I don't like that I took this damage, that's fine. But you can actually, she's not going to suddenly burst you down, right? So you can go, hey, I'm going to continue to fight you for another second, and I'm going to spend more of my health fighting you because I've already decided that I'm going to recall. And you can sort of drag your recall, and as long as, it's less than 3 seconds ago you took damage, like, let's pretend that this recall, you only needed 1 second of this recall's value because you took this damage in, let's say, 1 second, right? This 150 to 93. Well, you can go down to 60. You can go, I'm going to drag this another second, go down to 60, and then I'm going to recall. And you'll still go back to 150 because you can be like, hey, that was, you can effectively go, well, I'm going to tank a little bit more on my remaining health intentionally in the next second or two. And then it'll be fine because I know when I took damage was at this point in time, 1 second ago. So I'll tank for another almost 2 seconds, and then I'll recall, and I'll be fine as long as I do recall before we get past the 3 second mark, or so that you get full health off of it, or before I actually do run out of health and get eliminated.
Right. Okay.
So you could have just been like, okay, I'm going to put more damage into this Moira. Like, yes, I'm still going to pop my recall, but I'm going to take her down another 60 health, 100 health, whatever, before I recall, since I'm going to be recalling anyways.
Okay.
The Doomfist. Shoot at the Doomfist. Doomfist has a really tough time getting anything done if you constantly keep him chipped a little. Most people actually consider Tracer one of the better counters to Doomfist.
Ah, okay.
Playing on the edge. There's your blink. Good. Good. Acceptable. Don't walk closer. Fine. Are we afraid to look up, or are we deciding that Lucio is more important? I'm with you so far.
I think at this point I was so confused. I didn't know
Okay.
what was going on.
Because I'm looking at this and going, their only way back into this is if the Doomfist just pops off and gets a lot of eliminations, right? Like, that's their only way back in. Doomfist is a sink or swim here. That could still happen. He's one of the only ways to get back into this match is probably their Doomfist. So I'm thinking, hey, I want to stand the Doomfist, and you dodge that. We're good. But I know which way that he just punched, so we should hit an immediate 180. Which, you know, immediate is a relative term, I suppose. And then you're shooting at him. And then he went up. Like, that's cool. He just went up, so I'm going to aim up. Instead, you're like, oh no, he aimed up. I guess I don't have any verticality. I guess I better go looking for this Lucio or something. Like, what? The Lucio doesn't matter. Like, yes, the Lucio could eliminate you because the Lucio is being annoying, gluing himself to you. Don't get me wrong. So I don't mind if you keep the Lucio honest, but I'm not really worried about this Lucio picking up a bunch of eliminations and swinging this point backwards. The Doomfist actually has the ability to do that. So I look at this and go, you know, okay, I'll protect myself from the Lucio a little bit, but mostly I want this Doomfist. And now you just win. Okay, so in review, you ended up playing, I think, the most Tracer, so we'll talk about your Tracer first. The two things that we're going to say on your Tracer is, again, you already understand how flicks work to a degree from your McCree and your Widow play, and tracking aim. Tracking is a leading thing where you find your target and you go, hey, this is my target, this is what I'm shooting. My crosshairs are mostly on the target, and I lead my crosshair a little bit. I'm leading a little bit, not like I'm actually going in front of them, but I'm trying to mentally aim, push my crosshair to the left, push my crosshair to the right, based on the direction that they're going. It is a predictive, preemptive thing to a degree. It's not just I'm trying to follow them with my mouse. It is there is, you know, some psychology involved in, okay, which way are they going? Let me be dragging a little bit, not actually in front of them, but sort of in front of the center of their mouse, which requires you to correctly be predicting which way they're going. And then correcting when you get it wrong is, you know, micro adjustments when they switch, etc. But if you're guessing the wrong way and you get too far from them, that's when you do okay, I'm going to hit a real flick, like instead of a micro adjustment, I'm hitting a real flick to get back. So we want you to work on, hey, when my aim gets off on Tracer by too much, I want to, you know, take my finger off the trigger and do a real flick to get back on it. I think you're going to get more value out of your, I know you're going to get more value out of your clips once you implement that. The other thing I want you doing is when you're in spawn room just waiting for the match to start, etc., or in your warm-ups or whatever, I literally just want you to go, okay, I am practicing doing 90-degree and 180-degree turns with Tracer so that I can make those faster, because that really does add up in terms of every blink. After every blink, you should reacquire your target faster than they reacquire you. That should be an automatic thing when you're using Tracer, and the faster that you can acquire them, the more of a damage lead you get from every blink. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are the two things for Tracer that I want you to work on. For McCree, you know what I'm going to say. It's your reloads. Work on the reloads. Just try to be more conscious of, hey, I'm doing a lot of, I'm not really in any danger, but I feel like closing the angle and reloading type stuff. You're doing a lot of that, and I want you going, no, if I'm at full health, I am not going to close the angle. I am going to keep shooting. Type stuff. You know, that's not a strict thing. Like, obviously, if there's a widow, yes, close the angle, please. But, you know, in most of these poke battles, etc., if you're not really being pressured, don't close the angle, keep shooting, even if the shots don't feel particularly high value. Like, you know, they're at a Genji that's far away that you're struggling to hit, or they're at a Rhine shield, or, you know, anything like that, or they're being healed. I don't care. Keep trying to hit those shots. And then the widow, you know, we talked about the little weird flicks things that we saw, and also just don't forget you have the mine. Like, that's, or, you know, don't forget that you have the mine. Don't forget how you place it. You're going to place it at spots where snipers might go if you're playing into poke, and you're going to place it along the flank route that you're worried about, or one of the flank routes that you're worried about when you're playing into DPS. And I would lean, when you don't yet know the comp, I would lean towards putting it on a flank route that you're worried about.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have any questions? That's a fair bit that we gave you because you played 3 different heroes and we gave you stuff for all of them. So please don't try to work on all of those things at once. Please, even if you play multiple heroes in a match, I mostly want you focused on one thing for one hero for that match. And, you know, I want you to do a couple matches like that because I want it to stick. I want you to work this habit into your subconscious, into your habits. So, you know, I want you really focused on it for a period of time. Maybe that's 5 matches. Maybe that's 3 days of play. I don't know. But until, you know, it really starts to stick in there. How long that takes differs for different people.
Now, yeah, for a question,
Sure.
would a person, I guess, who plays like a Tracer, you know, soldier, like tracking type heroes, would they have a higher type of sensitivity generally? I know it's kind of, you know, preference or whatever, but like I find when I try to do my 180s, I feel like they're just like, my swipes are just like huge.
Yeah, so that's not surprising. So that's less a tracking thing and more a Tracer thing. Tracer, like, you know, with Widow, you feel like, hey, I want this big, loose sensitivity because you rarely have to 180 on Widow, and you want to be able to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, etc. And you kind of feel sort of the same way with McCree, right? Because you want to be able to be very precise. So you want the sensitivity that's nice and loose, I'll call it, etc. Whereas with Tracer, you sort of feel like, hey, I want a sensitivity that's a little tighter because I want to be able to hit 180s, etc. No, I am not recommending that you set different sensitivities for different heroes. I am not at all a fan of that. I think it makes it too hard to learn. But with Widow, at least, you have the advantage of, hey, Widow, it has to be different because it's scoped anyways, right? So there's a little bit of that. But the thing that you get to is, how big is your mouse pad?
It's pretty big. It's one of those HyperX, I don't know what you would call it. It takes up like a good amount of my desk.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Then it should just be a case of it, like, you might have to play with it a little bit, but you get to a point where you go, hey, it's a big motion, but from the center of my mouse pad to the very edge of my mouse pad, you know, I should be able to do a 180 with that. And if I can't do a 180 with that, I have a problem. Like, that's sort of the thing. And if you're going, hey, I just don't like to move my elbow that much, I don't care. Because your elbow has way more durability than your wrist. If you're going, hey, it doesn't work. No, I'm serious. Like, longevity of your elbow is much better than your wrist when it comes to those things. If it's a case of, hey, moving my mouse from the center of my mouse pad to the right edge of my mouse pad or left edge of my mouse pad doesn't do a 180 for me, then we have a problem, and we either need a bigger mouse pad or to change our sensitivity so that we can. Does that make sense?
No, it was more of a comfort thing for sure.
Okay.
So yeah, I just
Sorry,
have to get used to it.
Okay. Sorry if I'm stomping on your desires
No,
here.
it's all good. It's all good. I just want whatever works,
Yep.
honestly.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I run 400 DPI and I have 8 sensitivity across the board.
Okay.
Um, So not too low, not too high, I guess.
Sure. I am not the guy to talk to about this is the exact right sensitivity that is the best for the most people, etc. Like, sorry,
Right.
I'm just not that guy. But
Yeah,
that doesn't sound wild, but I'm not the best guy to calibrate off of
that's
on
okay.
that.
That's okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that would be about it. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Oh, let me stop